I failed, and that is the best thing that ever happened to me. A few years ago, if you would have asked me what success looks like, I would have given you a very specific answer: pass the exam. What exam? Let me give you a brief context. I was preparing for a government exam and it was a state based exam. So I was targeting two states and I have given total four attempts, two in each state, and couldn't even qualify the first stage of it. That's that. My entire life revolved around that one goal. Every morning I woke up thinking about it. Every night I went to sleep worrying about it. I said no to trips. I said no to hobbies. I said no to things that I genuinely enjoyed because I believed that once I'll clear that exam, my life would finally begin. And honestly, I wasn't just preparing for an exam, I was attaching my entire identity to it. I wasn't thinking I want to pass the exam, I was thinking I need to pass that exam. And if you are someone who is preparing for any competitive exam or had prepared, you might relate somewhere what I'm talking about. Somewhere along the way, I convinced myself that my worth depend on the result. So I studied and studied and studied. Months turned into years. I sacrificed comfort, sleep, and countless opportunities. And then I got the result. The same over and over again. I failed. Didn't even qualify at the first stage of it in all my attempts. And it hurts. A dramatic movie type hurt. A quiet hurt. The kind that follows you around for weeks. The kind where you wake up every morning and remember what happened before you even get out of bed. And each time I would go through the same cycle. I felt embarrassed. I felt disappointed. I felt lost. And the worst part, I don't know who I was without that goal. For so long, I was the person, the one who is preparing for that exam. And after giving my now last attempt, I thought, now what? For weeks, I kept asking myself one question: what am I supposed to do now? At the time, it felt like life had closed a door on me. But looking back, I realized something. That door didn't close, it redirected me. Because once the disappointment started fading, something strange happened. I had time. First time in years, I wasn't constantly studying. Wasn't constantly worrying about mock tests. I wasn't constantly counting days until the next attempt. And in that empty space, I started noticing things I had ignored for years: interests, curiosity, dreams, a part of myself that has been waiting patiently in the background. I started reading books I actually wanted to read. I started learning things because they fascinate me, not because they were on a syllabus. I started creating, experimenting, exploring, and slowly I began discovering something important. I wasn't just someone who failed an exam, I was a person with many interests, many talents, and many possible futures. The exam had become so bigger in my mind that I actually forget that life is much bigger than that. But here is what nobody tells you: sometimes success narrows your vision and failure expands it. Because when things go exactly according to plan, you rarely stop and question whether the plan was right for you. But failure forces the question. It makes you step back. It makes you rethink. It makes you ask, is this really the life I want? And for the first time, I started asking myself that. Not what my society wants, not what looks impressive, but what I want. The answer kind of surprised me, but not really. So I, with my everything, told my parents that I do not want to go forward with my next attempt. I wanted to do something that I always wanted to do, something that was always at the back of my mind. And I thought that, once I started earning my own money, I would do that, that kind of something. And it was just a simple dream, that is, that I wanted to study psychology. After that, something shifted. And now, what I'm about to tell you may sound a little sad, but trust me, where I am right now, it's not. It was so after I did 360 on my career, I've realized that people somewhere have lost all faith in me. that I would do anything significant with my life. I realize people have zero expectations from me now. And that, my friend, is the most liberating thing I've ever felt. Because at that time, I was free, truly free from any expectations. And that is so liberating. It was like a huge weight have lifted off of me. And you have no idea how good that feels. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to bash what I have studied before or regret my choices of choosing what I chose or why I have chosen it. Absolutely not. I believe that everything in your life teaches you something and it's a lesson to be learned. I'm not someone who's going to sit around and say that, oh my God, I've just wasted so many years or like prime years of my life. Nothing like that. I mean, what I've learned, I think it was an experience, and where I am right now, I'm very, very, very happy. So it was an experience for me, and I do not regret anything whatsoever. Only thing I felt bad about was that I couldn't fulfill my parents' dreams. So that was the only thing. But other than that, I do not regret anything because I believe that I've given 100% of what I could have given. I think at that time I have to make a choice, and I chosen myself. And I'm nowhere trying to say just be like me, break the cycle, or just leave what you're doing and pursue your dreams. I know, I'm aware that everyone's reality is different. This is my reality, and from all of it, I've learned that sometimes having a choice is also a luxury. That you have a choice to leave what you were doing and to pursue something else. Because for a lot of people, reality is different. They have responsibilities, obligations. Here, I somewhere acknowledge my privilege and also feel very grateful that I got to have that choice to do what I want to do. And without any expectations on me, I was free to choose whatever I wanted to do with my life. So I chose something that didn't seem practical or prestigious or safe. But after failing, the fear started losing its power because the thing I feared most had already happened and I survived. That realization changes everything. Failure teaches you something success never can. It teaches resilience. When everything goes right, confidence comes from results. When everything goes wrong, confidence comes from yourself. And that's a completely different kind of confidence. Today, when I look back at those results, like I said before, I do not feel bitterness whatsoever. I feel gratitude, not because failing was fun, it wasn't. Not because it didn't hurt, it did. But because it forced me to build the life that I actually wanted. A life based on curiosity instead of obligations, a life based on meaning instead of expectations, a life where I wake up excited about what I'm doing. And maybe you are going through something similar right now. Maybe you failed an exam, and maybe you didn't get into a college you wanted. Maybe you got rejected, a dream didn't work out, and right now it feels like the end. I understand. I've been there. But here is something I wish someone had told me. A closed door doesn't always mean you are on the wrong path. Sometimes it's life protecting you from a future that isn't meant for you. Sometimes it's pointing you towards something better. The hardest part is trusting that possibility before you have proof. Because when you are standing in the middle of disappointment, everything feels uncertain. But uncertainty isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes uncertainty is where freedom begins. The truth is, I thought passing that exam would give me happiness. Instead, failing gave me perspective. I thought success would help me find myself. Instead, failure forces me to find myself. And that's why, strange as it sounds, but failing that exam was one of the best things that ever happened to me. It gave me a chance to stop living the life I thought I should live and start building the life I actually wanted. Sometimes the best thing in life arrive disguised as setbacks. And sometimes the moment you think you have lost your way is the moment you are finally finding it. Failure did give me a lot of perspectives, and for me at that time, breaking that cycle was very important. Listen, I'm all up for not giving up on your dreams, but I also realized that sometimes you need to break that cycle because we only got one life, you know. And I realized at that time that me going forward with that particular dream was just not working. I cannot live my life just constantly running behind one thing. At that time, me choosing something completely different for what I was doing and doing, leaving everything behind and starting from scratch was strange because, your prime has gone. But trust me, even if to a lot of people I may be behind, but where I am right now, I'm so, so, so happy with zero regrets.